my name is Maureen Muldoon, and I'm the founder of the Spiritual Community and Spiritual Director. So thank you so much for coming out today and sharing your Sunday morning with us. I know how valuable this monopoly of time is, and we appreciate your joining your consciousness with ours and experiencing a Sunday morning that's a little bit unchurch-like and irreverent and authentic and experiential, and if the experiment fails, it's okay. What we can say is we tried. And if you're out in the community, if you have social media platforms, you could take pictures, you could take videos, you can help us carry the message. It's one way to help us to share the invitation. Most of you have been invited here by somebody else. So if you like what you find here, invite your friends. But again, you can take pictures, you can share our events. If you're watching from YouTube, you can go ahead and like our video. You can subscribe, and if you're ever in the Chicago area, you can join us. So we have a lot of people here from out of town this Sunday, so I just wanted to mention that. The talk today is Make Me a Channel of Your Peace. And today's message is about sharing, and it's about shining, and it's about the effortless nature that comes about when we align ourselves with God's love. You heard a little bit of A Course in Miracles so far, but one of the lessons that I love from A Course in Miracles that talks about being a channel of God's love is lesson 188 that says, the peace of God is shining in me now. Like, that's an affirmation. The peace of God is shining in me now. It's another way of saying, make me a channel of your peace. When we think about the word channel, if you were to look it up in a dictionary, it would say that a channel is a bed of water moving towards a bigger body of water. It would say that a channel is a mode of conversation, of communication, of direction. It would say that a channel is a frequency of vibration used for radio stations or for TV, channels. It will say all those things in the dictionary about what a channel is. The one thing it will not tell you is that you are a channel. You are a channel. You are a channel. That's the truth and the whole truth. That's the secret of the secret. You don't have to watch The Secret, because that's the secret. So St. Francis told us, back in the day, that beautiful prayer, which we say every single morning on the phone call that we do together, many of us do together. He said, make me a channel of thy peace. Saying, thy will be done. And he tapped on something that we modern miracle workers and mystics in this room know to be true, that we are channels of God's love. And that a channel does not need to, beg or barter to its source. It just connects with its source. It just needs to decide what its source is. And the good news is that on the menu of what your source is, there's only two things to choose from. There's only two things. It made it really easy. You could choose on that menu, you could choose to be a channel of love, or you could choose on that menu to be a channel of fear. That's it. And so the channel gets to decide. Why? Because God is so great that he has given us freedom of choice. That's the beautiful thing about God. It's like, look, my beloved, I will give you everything that you could ever want or desire for the highest good of my plan, or you could have nothing. And you get to choose. And it's like, okay, I'm going to take nothing for now. Thank you. I'll just check that out for a couple of millennium, and then I'll get back to you about that other choice, because I don't really trust you. You know what I mean? But we get to make the decision, right? We get to make the decision to be in the flow. So what we get to see, too, is if we've made the correct decision, our life will be a projection of that decision. If our life is happy and free and joyful and healthy and wealthy and vibrant, then we could say, I am absolutely in alignment with love, because love is expansive. If our life is stagnant, stressful, scary, then we could say, oh, you know what? I see right now that I am choosing fear. Do you like what you see in your life? If you don't like what you see, you could change the channel. You're the channel. So how do you change the channel? Well, it's simple. Like I said, if you're not choosing love and you're not seeing love, then decide that you have chosen incorrectly and you would like to choose again. That's it. And if you decide to choose in love, you can be assured that not only will you be providing so much light, so much love, you will be doing what you were designed to do on this beautiful blue marble. You will be doing exactly what you're here to do. But not only that, not only will you be an extension of that magnificence, that audaciousness on this beautiful blue marble, but you will also be so well provided for. I mean, can you believe that? Why do we doubt that? So if you're working for God, then you get the benefits, and the benefits are amazing because God dabbles in miracles. And miracles are an audacious sight that we are all so worthy to witness. And they're available to us right here and right now. God is a benevolent provider. My sister Joan told me this week, and I was like, oh, I got to use that. God is a benevolent provider. That's so beautiful. God delights in delivering your good. You know how great it feels when we deliver some good to a friend? Like we're going to go deliver some friends to the homeless people of our community. It's going to feel so good. We're going to be the ones who feel filled when we leave that exchange. It feels so good to do that. So that is because that is a characteristic of God, to be in alignment with the God qualities. So peace is also something that is in alignment with God. Like God is nothing if not peace. And so if we're not in peace, we're not in God. And we get to choose to return to God. We get to choose by saying, you know what? I want to know God. If you say you want to know God, you got to know peace. We need to get intimate with the idea of peace. Peace is not something that you march for. It's not something that you fight for. It's not something that you chase after. It is your inheritance. It is who you already are. Peace is something you accept and embody, and as you accept and embody it, it extends through you. You don't promote peace, you personify it. You get that? You don't promote it. It's like moving the chairs around on the Titanic. It's not your business what the world does. If you can't take care of the temple in your mind, this is the real battlefield. We're going around judging everybody and their brother. We're letting terrorists in our minds with fears and concerns. That's not what this is for. This is a holy temple. This is only for love. So that's the real change that has to happen, and that's the only place that real change can make. You know, when we say, let there be peace on earth, let it begin with me, you know, we're really getting to a truth there. That we're asking that it begin with us, because otherwise there's no way we're going to make it happen in the world. Other people will be, if you choose peace, then other people will be positively affected by your being, and they will start to see that possibly this is a choice that they could make as well. But you got to put on your oxygen mask first. A Course in Miracles can't give you what it says you can't give out what you don't have. You know, so you got a lot of unhealed healers walking around saying, I'm going to fix you, I'm going to fix you, and I'm going to fix you, and their whole life is falling apart behind the picket fence, right? That's not who you want to be. That's not who you are. It's not an integrity. But why do we show up that way? Because we actually don't want to do the work for ourselves. We don't want to go that deep. You know, we don't want to deal with the fractured places in our life. We don't want to go to our brother and say, I'm sorry. You know, I judged you incorrectly. So when we think about benevolent provisions, which is our right, the word benevolent comes from bene, which means good and well, and vel, which means to wish. So benevolent means to wish well, to wish well. And when we think about a wishing well, a beautiful wishing well, which is a term from European folklore, which described a wishing well as where people brought their thoughts, and they thought that if they spoke these thoughts out loud into the wishing well and tossed in some coin, that they would be granted these wishes. By who? A genie? Is there a genie at the bottom of the well? No, they believed in a higher power, a magnificent being that was benevolent, that was going to grant their wishes. So these early traditions of well wishes are the same that we do today. You know, we come to this inner well, this deeper place when we're feeling fractured or alone or scared or in scarcity, and we turn within to that inner well. It's the only place we're going to find the solution. We go to that well and we toss in some affirmative prayers. We toss in some well wishes. You know, we say, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right here, and I'm going to toss in some spiritual coin. I'm going to spend some time with you. I'm going to ask for some direction. And then as we do that, as we continue to do that, we find that our God is such a benevolent provider. You know, making sure that your house sells on time, making sure that you have a great camping trip, making sure that your sister gets to Sunday church and gets to see how awesome you are. Oh my God, that's so funny. Anyhow. So well wishes. So provisions. To provide means to give an act or supply something. In A Course in Miracles, it says, you know, a miracle happens when one who temporarily has more gives to one who temporarily has less. You know, don't be surprised about that word temporary. Sometime you're going to be sitting on the side where you seem to have less and someone has more. You got to say thank you. And sometimes you're going to sit on that side where you seem to have more and someone else has less, and you're going to say, you got it. You know, you got what's mine is yours. So we got to move into those miracle moments. Provisions do not come from us holding on to the outcome. You know, where we say, God, I want this to happen. I don't trust God. It doesn't come from us, you know, it comes from us tossing our prayers into that well-wishing, that place of consciousness that says, this is for me. There is a big God that knows me, delights in me. You know, people who find themselves at the deep well of the well-wishing, those are people that don't got no place else to go most of the time. You know, you go into that, you finally hit bottom and you turn within, you're like, okay, you know, God, I really have tried everything. You know, now I'm at this place. And the reason it took me so long to get here, God, is because I don't trust you. You know, I believe that you're not really for me. I believe that I need to work really hard, that there's some form of scarcity that is truthful. And it's funny that we believe that about God, because God's like, how the hell did I get such bad PR? Who's gossiping about me like that? I'm like the nicest, most generous thing that ever was. This is a bottomless well. And we're like, yeah, I don't know if I made it up myself or if somebody told me this, but this is just what I believe about you. So we got to get back to the idea that God is infinite, you know, infinite, bottomless well of grace. We do not receive the grace and the gifts of God sometimes because we are filling it up on our own resources. So my sister Joan and I are from New Jersey. Jersey girls are super resourceful. If you need a life hack, they'll tell you what to do. One time I was pregnant walking down the aisle. They're like, you just need to rip the zipper out and put it in tie up back in an extra big bouquet and just suck it in till you say I do. It's a little off script, but there you have it. So, resourcefulness is when we decide that God's not going to get it done for us. We don't go to God, then we go to ourselves, to our own resources. We got to rely on our own resources or the resources of our brother or our neighbor. And we don't want to channel. If we channel what we have on our own, then we're going to run out real soon. You know, because each of us we're sort of limited. When we could go to God, you know, get an up close and personal relationship with God, get a three-dimensional relationship with God, and experience the audaciousness of the unlimited well. Just let yourself do that even in one area of your life. Like even if you just did a scientific experiment, like I'll just try it in this one place today, you know, and just see if it works, you know, and just try it. That's all I'm going to say. I said to somebody this morning, contempt prior to investigation is negligence. That's from the 12-step program. So sometimes when we move into the miracle, we have to come with an open mind, because everything in our attic is going to say, don't go there. It's never going to work. You're not good enough. They're going to trick you. It's going to be bad. Whatever. The noise is in your head, but you know it's preventing the miracle. So when we're resourceful, it means that we have a quick and clever way to overcome a difficulty. You know, but God's not quick. God is graceful. We got to let things unfold at the pace of peace. So, but it is sometimes good to have a quick and clever way to find things out. But some of us are doing it so much of the heavy lifting, right? We're doing so much heavy lifting, and God's like, why are you doing so much heavy lifting? Like, do you not know that I'm here to help you? You know, and I will come in the form of people, places, and things to support your good if you just trust me a little bit. So we get the idea of inspiration, and then, so we get the idea, but it comes also because we don't, not that we just don't trust God, we're impatient with God. We're so impatient. When we get an inspiration, God rolls this major inspiration towards us, and we're like, I got the inspiration, and I see it three-dimensionally. I see exactly how this is supposed to look. I see my future calling me. And then you take the next inhale, and the next thing you get is impatient. You're like, so why isn't it happening already, God? What's up? Why are you so slow? we drive by God's house. We're like, come on, get this going. We want to go. We're honking at her to get out of her house. She didn't show up. You know, she's getting her lipstick on or whatever. And we're like, forget it, we're leaving without you. I know where to go. I know what to do. We run down the street with our hair on fire. We leave God behind. You know, and that's exhausting. It's exhausting for us. You know you've done it. I do it all the time. So we got to be patient, wait for God to get out the door, get in the car, and take the steering wheel away from us. Right? Amen. Yeah, amen. So being resourceful can sometimes block that miracle. You know, we got to let God take the wheel.
The light within you is sufficient. The God within you is sufficient. Remind yourself who and whose you are. Remind yourself that your God moves at the pace of peace. With God, you are co-creating all the things that you have the capacity to ever experience in your entire life, and God withholds nothing. With God, you have the capacity not only of that, but to be a well-lit beacon of peace. Like, you have the capacity to do that. You have the capacity to light up the world. Jesus said, I'm not the great exception, I'm the great example. Like, this and more shall you do. So here are 4 tools. I promise 4 tools today that you can use to keep yourself open to a greater possibility. The first one, and these are 4 agreements. If you haven't read the 4 agreements, it's a great book. The first one is be impeccable with your words. That means tell your truth. Do you have an issue with someone? Then go to the wishing well, speak that issue down that well to yourself, to that darker place, that holy, hour, and then listen to what returns. Listen to the echo that returns to you of what to do and where to go and what to say in regards to healing that situation. And then take the action that it provides for you to take. And if you need a friend to go with you, call a friend. You don't have to do this stuff alone. Sometimes it's scary. One time I had to make an amends on a phone call. It was my first amends I had made when I was in a 12-step program. I was so scared to make this amends. I had like 2 people sitting in the room with me. I was such a baby, but whatever. That's what I needed. I'm not judging myself, so stop judging me. So impeccable means without sin. You choose to see the world as innocent. Are we choosing to see the world as innocent? Your eyes might have just widened on that and said, what the hell is she talking about? The world is not innocent. There are bad people doing bad things all over the place. Are you not awake? Well, yeah, I am awake. But there's also this magnificent thing that God sees this world in a completely different way than we do. There's a multifaceted nature about each of us. I want to sum you up and send you off saying that you're bad in this way, but I'm not looking at you in your 3-dimensional version. I'm not looking at you the way your mom sees you or the way God sees you. So it's me that has incorrect vision, not you. So be impeccable with your words. Don't take anything personally. You are already everything that you need to be. Your purpose is clear. You're the light of the world. That's what you are. And you can be a channel of this truth. And you will see and be in free miracles if you align yourself with this truth. That's who you are. That's who you are. So why would you want to live on the personal level when you could be magnificent, when you could be a mystic? Why would you live on the personal level? Your fears may say, I'm not a mystic. I would say, yeah, not only are you a mystic, but you're an optimistic if you want to be. You could be an optimal mystic just by deciding to be in love with all things at all times. It's not really that hard. Only our ego thinks it is. And our ego also tells us that's a foolish thing to think, Maureen. But I don't know. I'm usually the happiest person in any room, so fuck the ego. We have no kids here today. So an optimal mystic, from your heart, in that space of grace and acceptance, light travels around the world. From your heart, love travels around the world. That's a beautiful thing to remember. You don't have to fix the world. You don't have to change the world. All you have to do is accept that you are the light of the world. A lighthouse doesn't go around chasing problems. It stays seated in the truth of its being. The peace of God is shining in you now for all to see. We think, no, I got to go out there and pick it. I got to change things. I got to rearrange things. I got to make up some laws. You know why we made up laws? We made up laws because we refused to do things kindly the first time. So somebody decided, I'm going to kill this person. And then we're like, oh, that's not good. We should make a law. It's like, we didn't need a law. He just made a mistake. He did it wrong the first time. We're not supposed to kill each other. We all know that. That's like a dumb thing. You know what I mean? So then we have other laws, like we're not supposed to jaywalk. So all of these laws are just places where people have refused to do it right the first time, and now we're making laws, and now we're going to carve out this thing, and it's going to be harder for us to navigate. If we were just kinder to each other and just did the right thing the first time, we could eliminate the laws. Anyhow, that's my pitch for lawlessness. So the third one is don't assume anything. Don't make assumptions. When we assume to know something, we're playing God, right? And our assumptions come at the cost of our curiosity. And we are such curious beings, So instead of like regurgitating the same old message that somebody told you and you're just running on this old story where you're not even sure if it's the full truth, just ask a question. Is this really true? it's not assuming anything, invites us to move away from gossiping, from carrying stories that aren't fully fleshed out about someone else's truth. Respect others' points of view. Avoid arguing just to be right. Stop expecting people around you to know what's in your head. These are ways that we can eradicate assumptions. And then the final one is to do your best. If you do your best, then God will do the rest. And I have a couple stories, really short stories that I want to share with you about doing your best and having God provide for you when you're doing your best. So Joan and I have a friend, Ursula, who was married to our friend David. And David and Ursula had 5 children. And they were in the country, and David spoke about 7 languages, and one of them was Farsi. And when we went into war, it was Desert Storm, David was working, but he knew that he had something to offer the conversation. He could speak Farsi. He could speak Russian. He could speak German. He could speak all of these other languages. And he was like, I got to go be a part of this solution. I can be an interpreter. I can help navigate peace. So he's like, I'm going to volunteer to go over and be of service. And his wife, Ursula, was like, yeah, but we got 5 kids, and you got the paycheck, and you're going to give that up. And he's like, I got to do what I'm called to do in the name of peace. She was like, okay, all right. So he left her with 5 children and no job. A month goes by, the money's lower. The month goes by, and money's lower. And she's looking for a job, but she's got 5 kids at home, too. So she's looking. She's coming from interview to interview. They're not hiring her. And one day she comes home from this interview, and she's like at her root's end, and she's holding on to the steering wheel, and she's like, God, go into that wishing well. God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. I got 5 kids, no money. My husband's in another country. She said the steering wheel felt like it pulled her into this restaurant that was at the end of her street. She gets pulled into this restaurant. She's like, what am I doing at this restaurant? I've got no money to go into this restaurant. She goes into the restaurant, and she's like, I guess I'm supposed to ask them for a job. And she said, I can cook, I can clean, I can serve, I'll wash your bathrooms. Like, I got 5 kids, I got to figure this out. And the manager said, I'm going to give you a job. But at the very same moment, at the bar was sitting another gentleman. He heard the story. He said, hey, I'm going to do something for you. I'm a reporter for the newspaper. I'm going to put this story in the newspaper about your husband who's volunteering for our country to bring peace to this world and leaving his kids at home. He puts this in the newspaper. She starts getting checks in the mail from anonymous donors. 5, 10, 100, 1,000, $4,500 come in. Because God's benevolent provision is with her. She had to get to the bottom of it, but God's benevolent provision was with her. So if God does not play favorites. God's benevolent provision is with you as you dedicate your life to peace in whatever way you feel called to. And there might be a million bullies on your way to peace that say, you don't know what you're doing, you don't got no money, you got 5 kids and a wife who's going to kill you if you do that. Right, but remember, peace exists in the mind. When we move from a place of peace, form follows consciousness. We're here to work on our consciousness so that the form can follow. And we've seen enough miracles in this community not to know that it's true. So Mother Teresa says, you may be able to do great things, but you could all do small things with great love. And sometimes we'll do great things and small actions, and sometimes, if we're really willing, God will do magnificent things through us and for us. And that's the word.
All right, so I started with an Indigo Girls song in case you were late and you missed it. And then as Maureen was speaking, I remembered this song that I actually wrote with Kristen Hall, who's an amazing songwriter. And she happens to be very good friends with the Indigo Girls. And we wrote this song, and my vision was that it was a duet of 2 women singing in a supportive way to each other, whatever. And so she asked Emily from the Indigo Girls to sing it with me, and she did, and it's on my record, The Road to Bliss, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I know. Well, this is another weird thing about the Indigo Girls. One day my agent had booked me a gig in Florida opening for the Indigo Girls with my band. And I was just riding my bike one day, and all of a sudden it flashed in my head, oh my God, they're gonna ask me to sing with them. And sure enough, they beelined right to me and said, do you know the song Closer to Fine? Would you sing it with us? I was like, yes, I know that song. And I knew that you were gonna ask me. And she hands me the lyrics. I said, I don't need the lyrics. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. It's hard to see right now. Maybe you can't admit it. It's time to let it go. Baby, you're too